We are on and on. Hello, and welcome to State of Play indeed. In the last 1 week, one story has been trending. In fact, it was just last week, Friday, that it broke. And thanks to the Chronicle, by the way. Since they captured it. I know you guys like to read Chronicle because of their...
Oh, the scriptures,
their scriptures.
Yeah, it captures everything, you know.
Yeah. And then they published... I woke up in the morning, I saw them like, goodness me, somebody is in trouble.
Of course.
I saw the story on the front page, like, somebody is in trouble.
And somebody indeed is in trouble.
And as it turned out...
Even today.
As it turned out, Madam... I call her Cecilia Cash.
Oh, why?
Cash me, baby, we.
Oh, but this is well, I haven't heard her speak, so I'm not going to make reference to things I know nothing about. But I mean, I've heard others trying to defend her.
That's the funeral matter.
Not even the funeral matter that brother gave money to mother. Well, you know, sometimes when you hear certain stories, that brother gave money to the mother for safekeeping. I don't. Let's say he doesn't want to put the money in the bank. He gives the money to his mother for safekeeping. Then the brother dies. And mother gives the money to sibling for safekeeping. I mean, I don't know the full story, but it doesn't make
But they don't, they don't have a dollar account.
They don't have. So how did they get dollars? You have dollars and you don't want to have an account for dollars?
But maybe they're in the process of opening a dollar account.
Oh, process. Yeah. The process took forever. I mean, look, no matter how I listen to this, for me, it doesn't make sense to me. But that's me. It could be true. I don't know. But whatever it is, let's say that is, even if that is true, we can still raise the morality issue. This is a government that says people are hoarding dollars, creating artificial shortage.
And they encourage us to...
And a minister...
take our dollars back into the system.
For that matter, minister has $1 million at home.
It was in transit.
To where?
To the bank.
And that's why the stories don't add up. You see, that's why the stories don't add up. And for me, I mean, this morning, we're playing... we'll get to a lot of these issues. But look, let me put it bluntly. I just don't believe all the stories. I am waiting for the appropriate state institutions to investigate. If they come out to say this is it, and they must prove, they share the details with us because of this and that and that and that, then we'll get to understand. But until then, well, she's innocent until proven guilty.
Yeah, I mean, but for me, there are other related matters that strike me. First of all, the issue of a minister having all the money at home is subject of the investigation that's currently going on. So that they will deal with it. So the money is stolen, right? Yes. The money is stolen. I'm going to the mindset that convinced Madame Cecilia Dapaah, smart woman from all accounts, to first report it, let investigators look at it. The investigators then decide to take this to trial, and they file charges, right? The mindset that convinced her that is the right course of action to put this in the public domain. And my point is, once you go to court, it's not, she didn't take the case to court, but of course, she filed a report.
Yes.
Investigators would have spoken to her over a period, they would have investigated before they build the charge sheet, the statement of facts, and then they go and file. So she knew about this all along. That course of action, for me, betrays a bit more about her tone deafness, okay, to how scandalous the issues were. In other words, she was possibly so numb to how criminal it was, and the suspicions and all the scandal that would have erupted if this got out, that she did not stop for a second to think, should I be putting this out there in the court for questions to be raised? The reason why I'm raising this point is this. Winston, the reason for me this is important is, it tells you that not only her, and I go back to Amoah's point that he made in that interview to the Chronicle again in 2004, where he said that people were criticizing him when he published that in his book, and we know what has happened. When the money in this book was stolen, 100 million then, small money now. All the politicians were criticizing him for being hypocritical, and that every political leader in this country keep monies at home, and that you cannot solve political emergencies on the basis of issuing checks, right? If you take that point, politicians like Cecilia Dapaah have been doing this for so long, right, that it's become the norm. So as at the point that the money was being stolen over a period, it was normal. So there's a sense of entitlement that I'm entitled to have this money at home. The questions about propriety, and also the questions about source of the fund, didn't occur to her at all. That numbness betrays how things that are not supposed to be normal has become so normal among the political class. That there are even many more politicians on both sides of the aisle doing what she's done. And the people are throwing stones at her right now, right? But I bet you, Winston, if we go to homes of politicians, either their homes where they stay or houses they've rented or bought, you are likely to find physical cash sitting there, right? The lifestyle questions then pop up. Does it match your income? All those things pop up. It is one thing to take an action like she did, but it's another thing not asking yourself to pause that the trajectory you're on could expose you to legal and criminal jeopardy, but also bring about scandal. It didn't occur to her because it was a normal practice to receive money, regardless of the source, and we don't know that yet, and hold it at home.
But you see, that's where the problem begins. And you're right. Politicians, and we're talking about a lot of private banks in the homes of politicians. That's the reality. So you see, you go to a politician, and if we're to go to the homes of politicians tomorrow, Friday, we'll find lots of Ghanaians lined up, coming with their problems.
Exactly.
They get into their rooms, come out with money.
So why do they get the money is sitting there in cash?
And I have seen it before. Politicians keep money in their homes. But you see, the point I am making today, Evans, is for today, we don't know the source of the money. So I'm not going to go so much into the source of the money and say, it's going to be investigated. One of the things, in the past, we've had Esler and Co saying, we need a lifestyle audit. Yeah, the special prosecutors going to do a lifestyle audit. So we'll leave it at that with a lifestyle audit. And I know the OSP will do a good job and will let all of us know what has happened. In fact, if they delay, we'll remind them. So now that it's in the public domain, when they're dealing with investigations, we'll remind them. And I know, and I trust the OSP and his team to do a good job. So I am waiting on them. But while I wait, there's something I can talk about. I asked that simple question. So this is the country that said that people were hoarding dollars. True or false?
True.
This is the country who were doing Alaji. You know Alaji?
Alaji, is it the guys who do the black market?
Alaji is one of those things. People find ways and means to cheat the system, get the dollars, turn it around, make sure that it leaves, and then it comes back to them, and you would have to come and buy it. This is a country, and I know the financial institutions will disagree openly, but this is a country where sometimes, Evans, you have to even go and see, these Alajis before the financial institutions can get dollars. Okay?
They sit on the cash.
They sit on the cash. So when you have a country where we're complaining, in fact, we say that we went to the IMF for $3 billion, not because we're that bad, okay?
Yeah.
We just needed a balance of payment support. It means we ran out of dollars. That's it.
Yeah.
We needed dollars to support a few things. Okay. How come today, and now, one of the ones we're raising this point, how many people, we're talking about Cecilia Dapaah, yes, and we'll talk about her, because $1 million in her Belingpe residence. Now, if they stole $1 million and they didn't see,
how much more?
How much more is there? If they stole, because if you steal my 10,000, I'll see.
10,000
cities. I'll see.
Oh, 10,000
cities. I'll see.
If you steal my 100 cedi,
I will see.
I will notice.
I would know. If when I go home, whenever I leave money in my pocket, I know how much I've left in my pocket.
Of course.
So when I go home and I check, I'd ask, but who took my money? They said, so these days, when somebody takes, oh, please, I use the money to buy this and that. They don't even wait for you to come and ask. But that's my condition. Let's say, so when you have a lot of money, just like if you take my 1 cedi, I won't know.
Yeah.
1 cedi, I won't know. But if you take 100 cedis, I will know. Okay. So let's say, how much was in that room? Let's ask that question. How much was in that room? And why would a minister of state, at the time when we are complaining that we need dollars, so we need dollars, so we need dollars, so be hoarding dollars? I know that those who are going to say, oh, but she's smart, because if you're smart, you change your currency and put it in dollars and not in cedis. Oh, okay. The people who are managing the affairs of the state, some of whom sit at cabinet, are the last persons to be engaged in that.
Yeah, but they're also rational human beings.
Wait. Now who caused out? If you have caused a problem, you must face it. Dance to the music. If you've caused the problem, and today, if you are to go and buy a car, and if you, I mean, we're priding ourselves about how we have trade surplus. Who is willing to import today? Who's willing to import? And so, if we're struggling in this country because of the dollar, and there are dollars in homes,
Plenty,
millions of dollars in the homes of people, I am disappointed.
The last time on PM Express, Professor Bokwe made a point that in Nigeria, when they did a certain survey, banking sector versus the non-banking sector in terms of circulation of cash, they found that only 20% of the cash that circulates through the economy is in the banking sector. Only 20% of all the cash that circulates in the Nigerian economy is in the banking sector. That actually means, shockingly, that 80% of the money that circulates in the banking sector in the Nigerian economy is in people's homes.
But Ghana ranks ninth
sector
when it comes to financial secrecy.
We saw that
in the index.
Yes.
Yeah, Sakon was talking about it. This is the country. Everything is opaque when it comes to money.
So and I was asking the question: what is the Ghana scenario? What percentage of cash is not in the banking sector? And it is my contention that the amount of money we have in the bank sector in Ghana is a fraction of what people actually have at home. And not
people have money. I mean, Evans, and we've had this conversation before about people having hundreds of millions of dollars at homes in this country.
Yeah.
I've had people telling me, for instance, that look, if the government was genuine, you would have the middle class agreeing to contribute the dollars that the government needs. That tells you that people have monies in their homes. But ministers of state should not be doing that. They're the ones who tell us that we should surrender our dollars. So if I should surrender my dollars, and that's where, for me, I don't understand Cecilia Dapaah. We can talk about, it's for my brother, it's for my brother. So you kept money belonging to your brother in your house.
But let's make the point. There's no law against keeping money at home.
I haven't said that.
Okay.
I haven't said there's a law against it.
It's not a crime. It's not an offense.
I'm only raising a point that a government that said we should surrender our dollars, and they were chasing Alaji and Alaji. We're chasing them around the airports. We're seizing stuff. We're seizing them. I mean, when they're not catching, arresting them. I am saying that government, which said do this, and you have a minister of state, Evans, minister, from June to October. June to October 2022. Do you know what was happening around that time? Actually, look, I give a story. When I was going to Addis Ababa, I had some dollars that I intended to spend in Addis Ababa. So I was thinking that when I get to Addis Ababa, I'll change the dollars into Ethiopian birr and spend. But when I got there, I had a change of mind. I'll tell you the truth. Because then I realized that the city was depreciating fast.
You better hold on to it.
Hold on to the dollar. Then I actually said, let me spend my cedis. So I used my card. Okay? I used my card. So at the time when the cedi was depreciating quick and fast, around August to October, going down. Why couldn't the minister, and I'm raising a morality issue here, why couldn't the minister have surrendered those dollars?
Yeah, well, I mean,
She could have just paid into the system. You see, you don't lose the dollars, you don't lose it. You've given it to the system. You don't lose it.
yeah, I mean, and so we have a situation now that the special prosecutor is looking at it. Now the Attorney General is going to advise, from what we're hearing, that the police themselves will now look into the source of the funding, into the source of the funds that were found in a home. I mean, there's a whole separate issue around why the police themselves didn't trigger that initially by themselves. But then there's also the political reaction to this, the executive reaction to this. The only word we've had in terms of a government reaction is what the president said in his acceptance letter, when Cecilia Dapaah resigned.
Yeah.
In that letter, and once the president speaks, it represents the position of government, right? He says he is confident that, in essence, I'm paraphrasing, she will be exonerated.
Oh, yes.
That her integrity will be established beyond doubt, right? So from the onset, in other words, from the government position on this matter is, you are innocent.
Oh, but of course.
Right? I mean, and by the way, it isn't wrong, because that is what the rule of natural justice dictates.
Yes.
That everybody else is innocent until proving otherwise. So it's not wrong for the government and the president to start off with thinking and asserting that you are innocent. And as the process proceeds, I am confident that you will be exonerated. Now, the question that has been raised, though, is, considering that he is the president, and considering that state agencies are already investigating the matter, and now considering that his chief legal advisor, an attorney general, a minister of justice, is also now advising the police to look into source, right? The question then becomes, you see where I'm going here? It's also with the AG's interest. AG's interest. When the AG's boss, who's the president, says, I'm confident that you are not guilty, the question then becomes, why is the AG interested in looking at the source,
Evans,
right?
I mean,
it raises all these questions about the propriety of that statement in the letter, which obviously he didn't need.
I want to help the cause of your argument. You're suggesting that in research, we're going to have a confirmatory research. There are times you're actually looking out for kind of
to confirm your hypothesis.
Confirm your hypothesis. You're looking for that because that's a belief you have. So you want to confirm. Of course, you could get it wrong, but in this case, and in our own way of doing things in this country, you're suggesting, if I get you right, that if the president says, and we're paraphrasing, that you would be exonerated, I know that your integrity will be intact at the end of the investigations. This process that the Attorney General is advising the police to go into, and we know the police, I mean, anybody who's watching, as we know the police, we know some of the investigations.
Especially when the advice is originating from the political appointee.
Exactly, we know the police, we know some of the investigations that they have done, we know investigations about Galamsey, we know how the special prosecutor is also investigating that, and contrary to what may have been told earlier, the special prosecutor has other issues for which people have to answer questions. And so the president's statement, the presidency's statement, the president actually, this comes from the president. This is the problem. I mean, this is the challenge I have with that. First of all, she's innocent. Accept and let the process continue.
Continue.
Do not in any way seek to prejudice what is going to be done.
And it puts the Attorney General in a very difficult place.
Yes.
Actually. It makes the well-intentioned advice, because everybody was saying from the beginning, why didn't the police trigger this automatically, right? So he stepped in, doing what everybody had asked to be done. Better late than never is what he said. But the president's pronouncement makes his work immeasurably more difficult, so that if they go into it, and they actually find legitimately, after exhaustive investigation, that there is no wrongdoing in terms of the source of the funds, and they come and tell us, Winston, imagine there's suspicion.
I would ask lots of questions.
Yeah, exactly. People would automatically raise doubts, even when the work has been genuinely done and thoroughly done, and they found what they found is what they're communicating, because they will link back to what the president has said. And I think the president shouldn't have said it at all, and it makes the matter even complex. But it circles back to the point I made at the beginning for me, which is the big point. If you are a president and you're a politician, and you've also done this all your life, and you've seen everybody else around you, your friends, politicians, keep money at home.
Evans.
And then your minister deadline, you want to...
Have you seen politicians on a campaign trail before?
Oh, of course.
Have you seen one of some of their V8s as we choose?
Oh, of course, with bundles and bundles.
Bundles and you know, they're with collapsed seats.
Oh, yeah.
There are no seats in it.
Oh, they put it in the ice chest.
Yeah, and there is, all you have is money.
Yes, bundles.
Bundles, yeah. That's just money in the vehicle. Yeah. If you ask the politicians, and I'm not going to mention any name because I don't have anybody's permission to mention his name, but throughout this conversation, I haven't come across one person who said he or she doesn't keep money at home.
You mean a politician?
The politicians, yeah.
Yeah, but there's some politicians criticizing the woman. So maybe
they are doing that openly. But for me, that's the beginning of the bigger picture. And you see, in Ghana, but I've used Mohammed's point that he made. He questioned why the minister kept such an amount in her home. Mm-hmm. Okay? He questions, not because that's a crime, but you ask the question, why would you want to keep such an amount?
But because it's a norm. That's what they do.
Yes, that's what you do. That's what you do. But the question is, at this point in time, do you want to keep that money at home?
No, let me.
Particularly when we see that we need dollars in the system.
Yeah,
to do business.
I hear that question. But let me ask another question, very controversial one. Do you think there's any politician in this country who has a moral authority to criticize Cecilia Dapaah?
They have no moral high grounds.
Because?
But you see, but that also, they have no moral high grounds. But I will say this. For purposes of argument, the you too is a fallacy. That I did it doesn't mean that I can't.
Of course.
And that's where I come from. That I did the same thing.
But if you live in a glass house.
Oh, that's another aspect of the game. But for purposes of argument, we say you too is a fallacy. That if you say, but you did the same thing, so I have no right to criticize you. I have a right to criticize you.
Oh yeah, of course.
Yes, and so that's why they are probably criticizing. But if we're to, go down, but I don't even want to go down because my point is that what's up now? You have an issue today. Let's discuss yours. Let me not bring another person.
But in doing that, we miss an opportunity to use this as the basis to fix a bigger problem.
Great. This is why we wouldn't miss that opportunity. Because as we're talking about it today, we're also making the point that people keep monies at home. But a lot of the conversation should be focused on the person under discussion.
Yeah,
for me, that's Cecilia Dapaah.
But
so I am questioning why she chose to keep $1 million in her bedroom when we needed money.
Well,
dollars, the same dollars that we needed.
Let's make a question. But then the next question I also ask is, for all those, and we are saying that there are plenty banks in homes of politicians as we speak right now. For all those who maintaining the Cecilia Dapaah lifestyle at home with all the cash, all the politicians, what should we do to them? Because they know themselves. Me and you know that they do that, right? So how do we change that culture? Look, 2 days ago, the central bank governor was complaining.
Yeah, but that's the reality.
Was complaining about
the reality that people are hoarding the dollars.
Yes, the huge sums of dollars being hoarded in people's homes, and majority. Well, Professor Dapaah actually makes a point on my show that actually politicians do it. It's between the political class and the business class. And then I asked Joe Jackson, also of course he is in the financial sector, in terms of who keeps more money. Says he believes the business class, they keep more money at home. So everybody's keeping money at home. Everybody. We don't trust the banking system. But those people will tell me and you with our small money to do cashless. Right? So there's a bigger problem that Cecilia Dapaah sort of scratches the surface for us and whether we can use that as an opportunity to fix it or not. But I agree. Cecilia Dapaah is the focus, right? She did it. It's been investigated. If it turns out the money isn't hers and she proves it's not hers, I know that's going to be a scandal by itself, right? But that's why the special prosecutor's probe for me is interesting. You know, another thing that I'm surprised about, the Strategi's own investigative powers have also not been triggered. Mm-hmm. And I'm saying, my argument is that multiple state agencies should look into this matter. Multiple. So it's fine the police is going to look into it. It's fine the special prosecutor is looking into it. Strate should also be triggered to look into it, right? By now, I expect that the Auditor General should have been written to by now to say unseal the
asset declaration.
Asset declared
as if she did it in a second term.
Exactly. Unseal. Then you begin to compare. But if what we are hearing is anything to go by, and we know that she told the special prosecutor that this matter, that this money is not hers. And the reason why the special prosecutor has expanded the probe to include family members and relatives, because she's formally, from what we understand from sources, in the interrogation says it's not hers. But then that is a contradiction. It's a contradiction to what is on the charge sheet.
Exactly.
Well, the charge sheet is very clear that at all material moments, and they've amended the charge sheet at least three times.
And they never amended the ownership of the money.
Ownership of the money remains constant.
Yes.
That is for her. So at what point did she realize that the money isn't for her? When the investigators were investigating, building the case, and all will be based on what she told them. Mm-hmm. Right? Because I'm Mr. Galayra. So they'll be asking me things. They'll come to my house. You know, how much is it? Who is the money for? And they put it on the charge sheet. And also, don't underestimate, she's a cabinet minister.
Evans, let's get to what viewers are saying. Now, Kofi Amoah says, out of the 275 constituencies, which region has the constituency called Cecilia Dapaah that has received a fulfilled share of NPP's 1 million per constituency promise per year for 2022? Is the MP called what? Patience Butri? I don't know about that. That's Cecilia Dapaah.
It's called Cecilia Dapaah.
Evans does not paint the president as a hypocrite. In a matter of honorable question, he's bound for jail, but his party appointee, we should wait. I don't understand.
I think he's asking whether this doesn't paint the president as a hypocrite.
Okay, well. Kofi Amoah again says, morality and legality breed sanity. So any imbalance causes insanity, which we're experiencing in today's Ghana. We're fundamentally sacrificed morality for legality, never forgetting that society is the best judge, not any court.
Listen, this conversation is not ending anytime soon. Everybody, at least the special prosecutor told us that he will be updating us. Mm-hmm. He'll be briefing the entire public on what he's found. I just pray that when that time comes, the circumstances surrounding this would give us a bit more confidence in the quality and integrity of the work that the OSP had done. Yeah. Right? I have every faith that investigation will be grounded on the principle of integrity, and it will be one that you can hold up in any forum and defend. That is my only hope. But also, I'm also cautious that she's so innocent until proven otherwise. So
let's see how it goes. Enjoy your afternoon.
So what we're going to do tonight? Hey, can I be hungry?
Yeah, chop. I'll go chop.